Hello, welcome to this presentation on rack optimization in a global meal kit company. This is a case study, and before I share the case study, I would like to briefly introduce myself. My name is Moses Gummadi, and I'm an operational excellence consultant, also specializing in Lean and Six Sigma. And I've done a lot of assignments on operations strategy, operating model design, and my operational excellence is particularly focused on using data analytics, optimization and simulation, and other advanced analytics techniques. I have 25 plus years of experience and I have a STEM background with an engineering degree and a wide experience in consulting across the board in different verticals of industry, both in the UK, some clients in Europe, and a few in the US as well. Now let's look at the case study. Here we have a global meal kit business producing 300,000 boxes per week in the UK. Now, they have operations in other countries as well. This case study is about UK operations, and they do use APS software, advanced planning and scheduling software, to perform the production planning, which is actually customized for them. It's a custom-made APS software. They also do a rack planning for box assembly operations. I'm going to explain why rack planning needs to be done, what is box assembly operations. I'm sure in your industry you recognize this because I'm targeting this video to people in the meal kit business and basically food manufacturing industry. So they do this in spreadsheets. They plan the rack plans in the spreadsheets. As a result, they have a very poor rack planning. Not only due to inaccurate forecasting of data, but also due to inefficient algorithm. So, looking at their process end to end, they have 3 steps. First of all, they build the recipe kits. Customers order, with various, recipes they want and for the number of people they want, etc. And so they build these recipe kits using ingredients at ambient temperature. But those ingredients which are not at ambient temperature, so chilled ingredients, for example, are packed separately during the assembly. So assembly process then is essentially packing the boxes with recipe kits, and then they put in additionally some chilled ingredients in pouches and seal the pouch, and also in the end add in a few recipe cards and marketing flyers, etc., and ship the orders. You can have more than one box per order on certain occasions if the order is large. Now again, just to show you how the box assembly is done, these are the box contents. So you can have multiple recipes. Here you have 1, 2, 3, 4 recipe kits plus a separate cool pouch for chilled ingredients, and then at the final stage they add in the recipe cards, marketing flyers. These are pretty much paperwork. Now recipe kits, they have kit sizes, 2, 3, 4 person sizes, and therefore because these sizes are different, they build on either different lines or in different production runs. Okay, and of course there are chilled ingredients which are packed separately in the cool pouches, as I said, and the selection of recipes is quite large and sometimes as high as 50, and therefore quite a complex set of operations these are. Now, how are they assembled? So they have a big rack, and there is an assembly line with a number of people standing and packing the ingredients into boxes. And so here we have different sections of the racks. So initial section is pretty much just picking the box and the pouch of different sizes depending on the order. And the second section is about picking the chilled ingredients which are not included in the recipe kits. The third section is where they pick the recipe kits, and finally they add the marketing material. So the boxes go from left to right, and as they go through, they scan the box, the QR code on the box, and the corresponding rack positions light up. That's why we call it pick to light system. And they pick those ingredients and pack them in the box. And finally the boxes are assembled and they are shipped in the end. Okay, that's how the process works. Now, rack planning is that how are we going to assign, or how do we know which ingredients to be assigned to which rack positions? Which recipe kits are going to sit in which rack positions? Because this is going to determine the throughput, the output of your operations. And that needs to be optimally managed in order to maximize the amount of throughput that you can get with a given set of resources for the same volume, for the same number of people, etc. Okay, so this is a very critical operation that companies have to perform. Mealkit companies, similar companies have to perform in order to get maximum throughput. Now, while a rack plan is created, they also have certain constraints. For example, they say certain SKUs or certain ingredients have zones or even racks pre-assigned, meaning a particular SKU has to sit in this particular rack only for certain operational reasons. Another ingredient may have to sit only in this zone. It can be anywhere, but you have to sit in this zone, etc. Those are the first type of ingredients, and this the first type of constraints. Second constraint is like similar SKUs or similar ingredients like pork and beef mince can't be in the same zone. So for example, the same person cannot have in his rack pork mince and beef mince. This is to avoid either picking errors or potentially replenishing errors depending on the process. They want these sort of constraints as well. Therefore, I have ensured that those constraints are applied in the rack plan. Still get a fantastic leveled rack plan results. Okay. Finally, the third constraint used is like taking the top 6 recipe kits and putting them in separate zones in order to avoid imbalance during short intervals. What does this mean? For example, here we have about 6 recipe kit zones, and if I take the top 6 recipe kits in terms of their volume, I want to ensure that those are distributed across. So we're not saying which one it should be, but we're saying the top 6 have to sit separately. Okay, by enforcing that constraint, what we're trying to achieve is to avoid a day-to-day variation, because the leveling of this process of this rack is achieved using suppose say a week's volume. Then the week's volume will be, well, the day's volume will be representative to comparable to the week's volume, but not in exact proportion always, and therefore there will be variations, day-to-day variations. So shorter interval performance will be you have a slightly underperform compared to the overall performance, and therefore you would want to balance these out, and this is another type of constraint used. And finally, depending upon the case weights of these ingredients, we can assign low or mid or top positions to for ergonomic reasons, for ease of assembly and for the sake of the people. So this is a people issue. We don't want heavy things to be put in unreachable positions, etc. Okay, right. So these are the different constraints applied. The solution that I have created for this client is an end-to-end solution, highly customized solution for them. Well, it has flexibility within their organization, but this is not something created for like multiple organizations. It's a heavily customized. As you can see, they have many input files, some files on the forecast, some of them details of their metadata, some of them modular recipes, some of them the design of their rack plans, and others a pick list. And so all these sort of things are actually crunched, and the data is prepared for the optimizer, which runs. And optimizer also takes into consideration a few other things like constraints and case weights and rack map, etc., and produces an output file, a CSV file or a JSON file for multiple lines, which can be uploaded into the pick-to-light system so that the rack plan is actually operationalized and ready to go. And we have trialed this and then improved it over a few weeks and seen significant improvement. In fact, some of the constraints have been added later on as we actually ran multiple pilots and saw the comfort level of the people who are assembling and other feedback coming from the shop floor. And we have ensured that those are taken care into the constraints, and that's how we have refined it. But the solution is not the solution that is refined; it's basically the application of various constraints and those sort of things. Okay, so this is a customized solution. Although it looks quite complex, this is actually, we give a very simple interface for the people who run this solution. We can train anybody in literally 15 minutes to half an hour how to use it on a weekly basis, and show how to prepare these inputs. All these inputs stay in a folder, output is produced in another folder. All that they need to do is install R language tool in R Studio and run it, and they can get the output. There is no license fee or anything like that. The only cost involved is obviously the consultant fees for developing this and implementing. So whatever we agree, and that's it. That there is no further license or anything like that. And it produces a wonderful output that can be directly operationalized. Now here is the results. So these are real results. Okay, I've taken these results, actually calculated and shown for a small section of a portion of boxes. I'm not presenting the whole result for the whole week, is for the simple reason that I don't want to share sensitive data. So we have here, these numbers are real, but the numbers are segmented for a particular period. 18,405 boxes are what we're talking about, and these are distributed like this across the zones that we showed. We've seen 18 zones, 18 people doing the picking operations, and you can see that the number of picks distributed all over. Now the top one is actually achieved by their manual spreadsheet based rack planning tool. Now you can clearly see in zone 6 the number of picks is very high, and the one in the bottom is the result of the optimizer. You can see, you can actually, if you sum all these gray ones, the sum of it will be the same. It's just that we have leveled them, and even this almost perfect looking leveled pick load actually considers all the constraints that we have put. Okay, it considers all those constraints. Now, and what is the impact? Massive impact. As you can see, this is almost 5,000 here, 50,000 here, it's 30,000. Let's look at the numbers. 49,632, 28,900, almost 29,000. And we calculate the cycle time. That is the average time between two consecutive boxes coming out of the assembly line. And this is the cycle time, and this is the cycle time in the new setup. And you can clearly see the throughput, that is the boxes per hour, has massively increased by 70%. Can you believe it? Now, can we really achieve 70%? Well, in this case, that's what it is in this particular segment of 18,000 here. This is a real plan that they have done, and this is the improvement. Now, can they achieve 70%? So this volume, the volume of the numbers and the forecast that we have used for this, for example, is for a certain period. But within that period, multiple shifts or multiple days can have variations, and therefore you can have suboptimal performance during the shorter period, as I have said before, and due to which this number can come down. But still, you can get maybe 50%, you may get 40%. Imagine, even if there is an opportunity in your organization of 10 to 15% or max 20% of improvement of throughput, that amounts to a lot of money. That amounts to a lot of production output that you can serve. 20% more customers you can serve. If you're producing 100,000, you produce 120,000. That's a lot. You put in the revenue, you put in the cost, you put in the margin that the company makes. Massive profit. Okay, massive revenue, a massive growth as well. It clears up the capacity. This is freeing up the capacity in your production line by doing optimal rack planning using simple software which is customized and designed for you. Okay. In addition to this, I can do other things such as, for example, optimal box packing to reduce orders needing multiple boxes. So avoid multiple boxes. They have a big size orders. How do you ensure that sometimes instead of using 3 boxes, you only use 2 boxes, or instead of using 2, you use only 1. So how do you do that? So we could think of creating an optimization algorithm for that. Also, inventory optimization. In this particular case, where this particular client where I did this work, on one occasion, not regularly, but on one occasion, in a 2 sites, 2 plants put together, they had about almost 220,000 pounds of waste in a week. Now that's obviously big. Well, there may have been some special case, but sometimes it averages 40, 50,000, different numbers. So the point is that if you order more quantity or more frequently, then you sometimes may have waste, as opposed to also you put in a lot of money, your working capital. Secondly, if you order too sparingly to less of a volume, then you may run into operational issues because you don't have enough ingredients to pack. So how are we going to deal with that? So there is a right number that you need to order and at the right frequency. So reorder point and reorder quantity differs. Optimal reorder point, optimal reorder quantity for every ingredient, every item, every SKU can be determined by optimizing the overall cost performance or overall working capital versus the percentage orders that you are able to meet, etc. So there is a approach called efficiency frontier, and I apply that approach to optimize your inventory as well. Also, we could do warehouse rack planning and optimization. I also do using our simulation of operations. We're talking about discrete event simulation, pretty similar to any logic and simulate and other commercial software. You don't need commercial software unless you really want 3D animations and visualizations. The real visualizations you need are charts and small tables where the information is summarized and clear and actionable guidance is obtained. That is what we need out of the simulation, not fancy looking animations. But so if you are not focused on that, if you are focused on getting the results and applying the results using simulation, I can develop customized simulation of your operations with flexibility so that you can try different scenarios and what to do, this and that, and you can run. I can train your people to do that as well, and that stays as an asset with your company. Also, labor load leveling for a given demand curve. So if you have the demand has a peak on a certain day of the week and it is distributed all over, it's not flat, but you could try to may make your labor curve slightly flatter than the demand curve so that you have a bit of easy dealing with your labor sourcing side of it. Okay, that can be done as well. Okay, so these are various things I can offer, and if you would like to get in touch with me to discuss what kind of things can be done in your organization to improve your productivity, reduce your costs, improve your throughput, improve your financials, operational performance, etc., please get in touch with me. These are my contacts. Moses Gummadi. I'm an independent consultant, operations excellence and advanced analytics consultant. This is my email address and my phone number, and I look forward to speaking to you. Thank you very much.